Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to The Deal with D and J. I am your co-host, DJ McCatherine, alongside the fabulous hair, the nice beard, and the up-and-coming mustache of Jacob Prail.
Just trimmed it, actually. Trimmed it because it was getting too long, but hair is in an in-between phase right now. Needs a little bit more out of the in-between, and then the beard just dabbling with a little grow out here, just a little dabble.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if you can see it in the lighting here. It's coming along. It's getting ready to come off. This is about 3 weeks in the making, fellas. 3 weeks.
Yeah, if I used a microscope, I could see it.
I know. That's okay. NBA playoffs. We're right in the thick of it right now, Jacob. Game 3 just ended. Pacers up 2-1. NHL playoffs right in the thick of it. Are we getting ready to go into Game 4?
Game 4 is Thursday, the
Okay.
day we're recording, but the NBA will be Friday night. So when you're listening to this, it'll be tonight.
Okay. The house settlement agreement for the NCAA also went through, and Shamar Stewart.
Don't forget some Omaha College World Series as well. Got to cover some of that.
Of course, Shamar Stewart is still withholding his contract from the Bengals, and NCAA Baseball, the Men's College World Series, kicks off on Friday. We're going to cover it all. We're going to start, though, with the NBA playoffs. The Pacers came out in Game 3, Jacob, with a fantastic game plan, and they executed to perfection. They wore out the Oklahoma City Thunder. More importantly, they wore out Shai Gilgeous, but they wore out that whole entire team. OKC put up great numbers in the third quarter to give them a lead going into the fourth. Indiana's bench was fantastic in the first half, giving them the slight lead going into there. But when the fourth quarter came around, Jacob, Indiana had everything going their way. Obi Toppin coming up clutch with the defense. In the putback dunks, Tyrese caught fire. Benedict Mathurin, just 27 points. Where did he come from? It was a fantastic Game 3. Give me your thoughts on OKC kind of fumbling and just the game plan for Indiana.
I think I want to kind of talk about Indiana here. I mean, what a performance from them, where they get blown kind of out of the waters from OKC down in Game 2, and they let Shai get to all the spots and got everything he wanted. But, man, in that fourth quarter, they put the clamps on him. And I think the biggest thing for me was, Nemhart and McConnell just bothered SGA the whole game. Covered him for nearly 90-plus feet. He had to work for everything to get the ball away, to get a shot off. Like, he would do this little bump move and pull up, but he wasn't getting the bump move or the bump calls that he was used to getting. I've been really impressed with the refereeing a little bit. It's still not great, but it is better than where it's been. I mean, Halliburton, and this is the thing about this Pacers team, is anybody can pop off. And Benedict Mathurin was the guy. 9 of 12, 2 of 3, 7 of 8 from the line, plus 16, and the plus minus with the 27 total points. And he just hit big corner shots. He hit a big mid-range. He got to the rim. He had some great stuff on defense, getting the rebound. Obi Toppin had a great sequence, right? Mm-hmm. Got a big-time block. Went down the other way. Halliburton missed shot. And then here comes Obi Toppin with an insane putback, right? And looking at OKC, they were just tired, man. They were just tired. You could tell it on their faces. Like, SGA was trying to get there, and he would go up. And Richard Jefferson kept saying this on the broadcast, like, those guys will spend extra time on the ground to, like, get more air and get more rest. And, like, OKC was doing that every time one of them hit the ground. Chet Holmgren was gasping for an oxygen tank. Gasping for an oxygen tank, right? Jalen Williams, I mean, he led the team in points, but also had a big discrepancy shooting free throws as well. Like, missed a couple big free throws late. SGA kind of in the same boat. He had a crucial travel that went against him because, again, he was used to doing it all and he tried to do a little too much. But the TJ McConnell sneaky, like, 3 inbound pass steals that he got for points.
Yeah.
Like those are just
Awesome.
Alex. That's just Alex Caruso just being tired, man. There was another moment where Halliburton shot a corner 3 and Shea went to contest, but Halliburton crashed and got his own rebound and put it back up, which led to a extra chance opportunity. And Shea just like watched Halliburton go after it, like he just watched him do it.
Yep.
So it was just it just like when you were watching it, you could just tell they were tired, man. You could just tell they were tired, and like you feel bad. I don't even feel bad. You're just kind of like watching this happen, as it's just like you can just tell when they can't run with the Pacers. Like they try to do that in the third, and they try to do that for part of the fourth. But when push comes to shove, and you give Indiana like 4 possessions straight where they can go get to the rim, it's an 8-point swing in a minute 30. Like that's tough.
Yeah. The defense for the Pacers was just immaculate in this game. I mean, steals, Pacers led 13-6. Over double the amount of steals. Blocks, 11-4. 11-4, Jacob. That's nearly 3 times the amount of blocks. And then just total turnovers. The Pacers had 4 less, so 19-14. But off of those turnovers that Indiana forced, 21 of them turned into points. It turned into 21 points off of 19 turnovers. I mean, fantastic job by just clamping them up. I mean, like you mentioned, TJ McConnell, late in the game, too. It's not like this was like first quarter, we could just brush that off. No, these were big-time points. I believe that was to tie the game.
It was.
I believe that steal was to tie the game. And so OKC, after being gassed and then letting that happen, it's just a recipe for disaster. And I mentioned it on the TikTok as well. Hashtag go follow us. It was just, if Indiana can replicate this type of performance again, and this game plan, I don't know how you defeat out hustling an opponent. Right? Like, turning around and doing this again would, one, be crazy, but I don't know how you have a game plan to stop them from doing it. Like, someone's going to guard you from 90-plus feet. Like...
Well, it was just like one of those things where it's like, it's no different than Lou Dort picking you up and doing the same thing. But I really appreciated, like, Halliburton was much more aggressive getting to the rim, being aggressive to drive and to pass. Like they did this whole thing where they would run the pick and roll, and I forget who's guarding Turner. I think it was either Holmgren or Hartenstein, and he would fall back, and Halliburton would just go bounce pass in between the both of them. Turner's right there at the free throw line, pull up, bank. Like Siakam had a couple huge moments as well. Again, when you look at it in the grand scheme of it, it's just game 3, but it was a pivotal game 3 for Indiana at least. And if you're OKC, like you kind of like you want to go back to OKC, tied 2-2, because this is, again, it's the same recipe that Indiana has used for nearly the entire playoffs.
Right.
Steal game 1 in heartbreaking fashion. They've won game 2 normally, but in the last 2 series, I think they lost game 2 or whatever it was. And then game 3 and game 4 happen, and Indiana steals both. Like, they end up with a 3-1 series lead in all their series. And Indiana's on an impressive run. Yeah, when you look at it in a totality sense, it's tough to ask OKC to do more. But again, it's tough because it's just like they're doing everything. They just, again, it was simply they got tired from what I watched. It looked like they got tired. Chet was not getting them clean looks. And the biggest thing Indiana did, too, towards the end of the game was they were crashing the boards hard. There was 3 or 4 Pacers on a ball. Like, Holmgren goes and drive, Jalen Williams. And the thing is, it was like at a certain point, too, like, obviously they're NBA players. Like, they're going to go get their buckets. But I watched J-Dub, and I go, he's just going to drive with the left hand. And it's like, can you force him off the spot? Chet's going to drive, right? SGA is going to either shoot the 3 or he's going to try and get to the mid-range. Like,
right.
It wasn't like anything was spectacular versus like Indiana would do these crazy cross court passes to the corner for Mathurin. Mathurin would shoot it, and whether that was Mathurin going to the rim too. Like, it's tough to ask Indiana to do more. Not ask Indiana to do more. It's tough to ask OKC to do more when that game was kind of in their grasp. And again, a couple lack of oxygen to the head plays. Caruso's inbound, Shea's turnover. Like, you add that all in there, and that's where you get the 9-point difference, essentially. Those 2 plays I just told you were a 4 or 5-point swing.
Right, and then you add in the turnovers that we saw, and now it's a bigger gap. But going back to that, like, how do you even? We played plenty of pickup before, right? And where I'm not trying to compare pickup basketball in the NBA, but when you have a ton of good switches, even when people are guarding you from 94 feet or 93 feet, 92 feet, what is the recipe for saving your energy? I mean, I would think the immediate response would be, well, they're going to have to make a lot more switches from the bench. Your bench players are really going to have to put in the time to give Shea his rest. I know Caruso comes off the bench, but Jay Will coming off the bench. Or you're going to have to swap out these players, to get up the floor. I don't know if that's sustainable, especially with, even if Indiana swaps, I'm taking Indiana's bench over OKC's bench. I just don't, I can't see the game plan where OKC can stop this whole 93 feet of defense while also maintaining the level of consistency that they have. And that's if Indiana comes with the same game plan. But I mean, as effective as it was in this game, it would be hard for me to believe that they would go away with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if you're OKC, you got to find a way to slow the game down. Because it's not the pace OKC's moving with, it's the pace Indiana's moving with that they're struggling with right now. It is hard for OKC to maintain any. Indiana is conditioned to maintain Indiana pace. You have to force Indiana to slow it down or force them to speed it up like they did in game 1, where the first quarter and a half, Indiana was sloppy, moving way too fast, was not holding the ball well, versus in this game, we watched it in the middle of that fourth quarter on the McConnell turnover,
right?
The McConnell steal, tie game, and then out of nowhere, Indiana goes on this run because they have the momentum, they have the juice, and credit the Indiana crowd, man. Both crowds have been great.
Fantastic crowd in Indiana.
Standing for the entire game. Pat McAfee on the mic, Caitlin Clark in the building with Lexi Hall and Sophia Cunningham. I think the kids call him Tres Leches right now.
Tres Leches.
Yeah, but I don't know. If you're OKC, you got to find a way to slow it down. Maybe it's both sides of the ball you got to slow it down. But, man, if you're forcing Shea to play this game, Shea had 24. And yet, again, what was the thing we talked about before was if Indiana can they've found ways to find somebody to win the game. Versus, not quite sure OKC has found anyone besides Shea to go win them a game. Maybe except the J-Dub 40-point game that he had against Minnesota.
That's what I'm saying.
When a team like Indiana can win with nearly anybody versus OKC, if Shea is struggling, then you kind of have them in a torture chamber.
Yeah, no, I said this before before this series started. I was like, people make, Indiana's game plan is going to be around trying to slow Shea Gilgeous-Alexander down. And I will get his name right on TikTok from now on. And I got another thing for later. But the Pacers, when you're going against the Pacers, I feel like most people make their game plan around Tyrese Halliburton. I think he's probably the more unpredictable player on the Pacers, right? He can light you up from 3 sometimes. Other times he's good at the midi. And he's a great driving offensive player as well. But there could be anybody on that team. He's not even the best player on their team. Possibly a hot take. Tyrese isn't even the best player on that team. I think it's Pascal Siakam. But even he's not the only player you've got to watch out for. So this Indiana team is, I doubted them enough going through the East. I actually thought the East was strong enough to get rid of them, but like I said before, I'm not making that mistake again, Jacob. So after Game 3, to wrap this segment up, are you switching sides? Do you still have your faith in OKC, or are you starting to lean the other direction?
I think I'm still gonna rock OKC. I think in the grand scheme of it, I think OKC will figure out a way to survive. But I'm also not going to be mad if Indiana wins either. Like I really am enjoying this Pacers team, and I think it'll signal a great movement in the NBA if this happens, where developing talent now can become a forefront of a championship team versus superstars, which you still need a superstar, and the Pacers do have one in Tyrese Halliburton. But, yeah, I think I'm going to stay with OKC for now. I think that's where I have to be, and that's where I have to ride. But, I made a pick in the beginning. I'm going to ride it. I'm not going to switch up as of right now.
Okie dokie. Monday, the Panthers took a 2-1 lead over the Edmonton Oilers. We've got, the Oilers didn't even have a bad offensive game as far as getting shots on goal, right? They actually outshot shots on goal against the Panthers. I'm going to try to do my best hockey introduction here, Jacob, so I can get you your words in. 34 hits to 26 hits. Edmonton took over there. They won more of the faceoffs, but it seemed like the Panthers, it is factually and statistically correct, that the Panthers dominated in power play opportunities. Talk to me here about the shift possibly in this series, because Florida just dominated Edmonton in Game 3.
Yeah, it was one of those games where nothing made sense, honestly. Like, I watched it just watching it for what it was, and by no metric did I think that Edmonton had a shot in this game. I believe in the first period alone, they had like 5 or 6 penalties. Like, Edmonton had a total of 85 penalty minutes. That's absurd. Now, granted, guys are getting tossed out. There might be some 10-minute majors and whatnot going on in there to maybe boost those numbers. But Edmonton, man, they had too many penalties. You can't have that many penalties against a team like Florida. And the thing about Florida is that they just hit you so hard. Like, the forecheck is relentless. We just talked about McConnell covering you for 94 feet. That's how I compare watching Florida play hockey. Like, it's just suffocating. Suffocating. It is so hard for them to get anything going on the Edmonton side. The depth is a massive problem for Edmonton right now. On the one hand, you definitely want to take Draisaitl and McDavid at any point because they're the two of the best players in hockey, right? But the Florida Panthers just have so much great depth. Florida, like Alexander Barkov, like is so good. He doesn't play a sexy game. He just plays it the right way. Like, it's like Pascal Siakam if we're going to compare it to NBA terms, right?
Okay,
like,
I like that.
Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand, like, they're just the Bash brothers. They're just, with Matthew Tkachuk, they're just laying the bodies out. Sam Bennett had a sequence where he laid out 2 hits and then got up the ice, got a pass, had a breakaway, and beat Skinner blocker side up. Like, that's just the way Florida plays. It's suffocating. It's a lot. Anytime there's a loose puck, the puck's on net. Like, you have to always be ready for it. I thought Edmonton's defensemen were terrible. Evan Bouchard, like, pisses me off every time I watch him play. It's like, dude, just be a winger. Don't play defense, because he gets beat every single time. He throws up shots on the freaking net, and they don't go anywhere. Like, he's either wide or doesn't get to the net. Like, he has a great shot. Shoots at like 98 miles an hour, but that thing is just, he's not accurate with it, right? They brought Elcombe back, and some of they're switching some pieces for this game 4 which I'm interested to, when this comes out, like we won't know the results. And maybe I jump on late and add it in, but like I don't know where it is for Edmonton. Edmonton's going back to Stewart Skinner. I guess that's okay. He's the guy that got you there, but like, man, I don't want to go to Game 5 and you're throwing in Calvin Pickard in a go-home game. And Sergei Bobrovsky has been nothing short of just a brick wall.
You ruined my segment. I was going to toss him in at the end. I was going to say 32 saves. I got to get it in because I'm trying to get into this hockey bit. But 32 saves. Talk to me about how insane that is. I mentioned earlier that the Oilers had more shots on goal than Florida did, but the score 6-1 in the Panthers' favor. So talk to me about how crazy Sergei Bobrovsky is.
Yeah, Bob has been nothing short of spectacular. He's simply been the best player in the playoffs for Florida. He's incredible. He's uncharacteristically great. Like, he went through a phase where he couldn't get the monkey off his back, and now that the monkey's off his back, it's almost like impossible to beat him when he's on his game. Like, you can ask any other team, it's impossible. Like, if Bob's off his game, he's beatable. But like when he's on his game, like he's seeing the puck from post to post and like getting the angles right, and he's seeing the puck, getting his shoulders squared, like the little things, and he's got great anticipation and the gloves in the right spot. Like, I can nitpick all these great things about Bobrovsky, but it's just like simply like we're watching a Hall of Fame goalie at work. It was the same way watching Vasilevsky 2 years ago, like a couple years ago. But the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the way it's going, Bob's going to be potentially a top 10 goalie of all time if he gets another cup. So I think it's nothing short of impressive with these guys, and it's just this Florida Panthers team is just so good. It's hard to like if we're literally like if the antithesis, like both series, NBA and NHL are like mirror images of each other. Right?
Okay.
OKC has one of the best players on earth in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Edmonton has the best player to maybe ever touch a puck in Connor McDavid. Right? Versus the Florida Panthers have not a lot of sexy guys. Neither does Indiana. And yet, both these teams have a 2-1 lead. Obviously, the exception is Draisaitl. You can have two of the best players of all time, like two of the best players in the league. But yeah, it's nothing short of remarkable. And it's just like when you watch this Florida Panthers team, you just know the floodgates are going to open. They get one, they get three, right? And Brad Marchand, like, I hate this guy, but this guy was born to be a Florida Panther and be a rat, and it's tough. It's a tough world. A lot of people want Florida to win because they hate Canada, but I'm in the opposite boat. I don't want Florida to win because I hate Florida. So I want the Oilers to win. But, yeah.
That's so un-American of you, Jacob.
Well, that's the thing, though. If you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, like I'm a Blues and Lightning fan, for those being like, you can't be a fan of two teams, like get out of my comments, like get
You're
over
listening
it.
to the wrong podcast if you're not letting Jacob be a fan of multiple teams.
One, it's not even that big of a...
That man's all over the place. He's all over the country.
It's not even that big of a deal. It'd be one thing if I was a fan of a team and I didn't know anything about them, but I know a lot of things about the teams I'm a fan of. So, get over it, right? But, I had a couple of my friends who are Tampa Bay Lightning fans who are like, we're rooting for the Panthers. And I was like, why? They literally knocked us out of the playoffs. And they're like, because we don't want a Canadian team to win. I was like, but that's not the point of the rivalry. It's not like, yes, is it U.S. versus Canada? Yes, but it's not that. It's not that. It's not all American players playing against an all Canadian team. It's just a Canadian franchise. And they're like, yeah, we just don't want that to win. I was like, you're defeating the purpose of the Battle of Florida. The Battle of Florida was we're all going to sing Kumbaya and share a Stanley Cup, then why are we playing? I hate the Panthers. That's all it is. And those that don't share my sentiment as rivalries, they suck.
Well, we had mentioned before the series started again in our overview of really both series, NBA and NHL. You really liked Edmonton in this series. I believe you picked them to win in 7 games, if I'm not mistaken.
I did.
What do you see now? What makes you the most nervous for that not to come to fruition? If you haven't already switched sides, do you still feel Edmonton in 7? Do you feel this shift at all? What scares you the most?
I'm going to stay Edmonton in 7. Obviously, I'm not going to switch. But if Bobrovsky continues to play what he's been playing, this Edmonton Oilers team is done. And if Skinner's going to play how he's played, this series is over quickly. The worry is the defense for Edmonton, honestly. Like, they just can't figure it out. They're not playing crisp defense. Florida's just having their way in the zone and just, like, cycling pucks, laying the body, establishing the forecheck. And then the defense gets tired. And then it's the same thing in the basketball term. You get tired and your brain is just, you're not thinking as accurate as you want to be. And that's when goals get given up. And Skinner has to be better, too. Skinner has to be better. Some of them goals are soft. He just has to be better. But my worry is that Bob's going to have another 9.6, 9.7 save percentage performance, and this series is done very, very quickly.
Well, I still have Panthers in 6. I think I stood on that. I think I will stay on that. Not a big hockey person for anybody who's surprised, but I'm trying. I think we talked about this in the last one. Mom, big into hockey right now.
You should be big into hockey.
I'm trying. I am trying.
It's
There's
great.
A lot going on.
It's great.
It is your coverage. So it's tough sometimes. It's tough out here in these streets. But we're going to transition here, Jacob. A little bit of college sports. The Men's College World Series starts today, because by the time this recording comes out, it will be Friday. So College World Series comes out today.
We keep saying
starts.
We keep being like, when this comes out. Well, when it's out, because you're listening to it, College World Series starts now.
The College World Series starts tonight, and we get Arizona and Coastal Carolina, and then we get Louisville and Oregon State. But I feel like we've got to dive in a little bit to what was the Super Regionals, because kind of a lot of chaos ensued. There were a lot of dominant performances by teams that we didn't think were going to get there. And then there were just some super dominant performances by people we expected to get there. I mean, Arkansas, LSU, Coastal Carolina, and UCLA all 2-0'd in big fashion. I mean, not like it was any close. The one being Coastal Carolina Auburn. Their game 1 went 10 innings. Fantastic game. But the other ones, those look like the 4 teams to beat in this whole competition. But we did get some surprises here, Jacob, and I don't know why ESPN is being a big pain in the butt. Let me see if I can pull it. Almost had it. Murray State. That's what it was. Saturday had all the games. But Murray State, I mean, what a surprise team to get through this Super Regionals. Oregon State upsetting Florida State. West Virginia gave it what they could, but that LSU team, man, they are a different breed right now, looking to go back to back. And arguably one of the biggest surprises was Arizona over UNC, the Tar Heels. Jacob, talk to me about what surprised you the most in this series. And I know I'm ending that list on your UNC Tar Heels, but I believe that was one of your favorites to win, if not your favorite to win.
Yeah, it just comes down to, sometimes you ride the hot hand a little too long and the hand becomes cold. UNC had a 3-1 lead going into the 8th inning, and the starter was going strong. He had some runners on. They went to a relief guy, and the relief guy gave up runs. And unfortunately, in the 8th inning, you run out of opportunities to try and score. And Arizona's a great ball club, man. They won the Big 12. They've been really kind of underrated all year. Like, no one really picked them to win the Big 12. No one really expected them to go to Omaha. And yet, here they are, right? In UNC, I mean, they beat the crud out of them in Game 1. And then in Game 2 and 3, you know, that's all she wrote. And they're sitting home in Chapel Hill. I mean, yeah, as a UNC fan, you know, of this team, and I really thought this was their best chance. And again, it's another missed opportunity for this ball club. It's another missed opportunity for this ball club. There's just no way to put it. They did great this year. Again, this is where the seeding comes into play because, like, they shouldn't have been a 5 seed. Granted, Arizona got out of that regional against, I'm blanking on who. But still, though, they should have easily been, up in that 3 to 4 category. Maybe they should have been playing Coastal instead. But even then, I don't know if they get past Coastal, right? This Coastal team's really good. I don't know. It's baseball at the end of the day. Sometimes not always the best team wins, and that's unfortunate, but that's why you play the games, man. You had two to win 2 out of 3 games, and you couldn't do that. So by that logic, you weren't the better team. So unfortunately, that's how the cookie crumbles, man.
We got another surprise team in Murray State. Now, you did some research on this Murray State ball club.
Yep, I did.
Deep dive into that for me. I mean, a really big upset over Duke. I mean, it doesn't look like it when you look at the records in the regular season, but this Murray State team went against a ton of odds, and in a program like Murray State going up against a program like Duke, sitting here in the South, it seems like a pretty big upset.
It is a big upset. I mean, it's rare to see a Missouri Valley Conference team go all the way up to Omaha, right? Their baseball stadium seats no more than 800 people, right? Well-maintained facility, I will give it that. Very well-maintained facility in the Bluegrass State. But again, you don't see teams like, and this is why college baseball is so great. And everybody, when they hit this point of the year, go, oh my God, this sport's so great. Who's covering it? Why isn't anyone watching it? It's like, you, the people that make that comment, are the ones not watching it all year. I paid attention, and that's why I thought this UNC team was going to be great. And it's still the craziness that ensues with baseball, man. Murray State, that's what makes it so great in the era of NIL and transfer portal. Murray State's going to Omaha for a chance to play for a national title. Same with Coastal Carolina. And historically, Coastal's been really good, and they have won a natty. But that's what gives you hope, is those stories. Cal State Fullerton's another historic one that's come through the ranks of the college baseball world, right? And it's just exciting to see where the sport is going. But Murray State, man, this ball team's good, man. They can hit. And it's you got to pay attention for all 9 innings, because they're good, man. They are really good. They poured 19 runs on Duke in game 2. I think we got, you're going to say this every time because you're going to be like, well, of course the 8 best teams got there. And it's I truly think we have a really great, interesting Omaha this year. I think that I don't know if you saw this, DJ, but this is the first time since 1957, DJ. So the beginning of the college baseball, when they started doing the College World Series. It's the first time since 1957 that none of the teams last year made it back to Omaha. It's the first time no team has gone back-to-back to, the last year's 8, none of those 8 teams made it back to Omaha.
Did LSU not?
Nope. They were not in it last year. Neither was Arkansas.
LSU didn't go with Paul Skeens last year?
No,
Who won?
He was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Paul Skeens was in the MLB last year, my friend. 2 years ago.
You're right.
Because Tennessee won last year.
Tennessee won last year. I'm getting my years mixed up. I must have missed last year's college baseball.
First time since 1957 that no teams from last year's World Series made it back.
And to go along with that theme, I feel like the matchups are really good too. I feel like they're very interesting. I don't see one team in these 8 having an easy time getting through their opponent. Because each game, correct me if I'm wrong, each game is best 2 out of 3 to get to the 4, correct? So, I mean, in our first day of matchups, Arizona, Coastal Carolina. I mean, Arizona coming off a big series against UNC, and Coastal Carolina, that was a big series too against Auburn. Auburn was a top 4 team in the country, right? And they got by them relatively easy-handed. That's a series that I'm so intrigued by.
So
Louisville, Oregon State.
It's not a series. It's just that side of the bracket and the other side of the bracket.
So winners will play
winners, and then
winners will play winners.
So it'll be
okay.
Winner, loser. They'll play. Losers eliminated. They move on. Loser of that game plays them. If they lose, they're eliminated.
Okay.
Loser of that is eliminated, and then when they play again, someone's undefeated, someone has 1 loss, and then you have to get 2 losses.
Okay, so you got 1. Okay, roger that. So are we going Friday is one bracket and Saturday is the other?
Correct.
Other side? Okay, so the 4 teams on Friday and the 4 teams on Saturday, they're in their own bracket.
Correct.
Okay, that makes more sense to me now. Even if you put it that way, I feel like the Saturday bracket is a little stronger, especially putting LSU and Arkansas in the same one.
That's going to be...
That LSU-Arkansas game is going to be freaking awesome.
That might be... That might be must watch. That might be I'm in my butt watching this game on Saturday night.
You're in your what?
I'm in my butt. You heard me. I'm in my seat Saturday night.
On your butt. You're on your butt, not in it.
Technically not wrong. Yo, chat, clip that, chat. I'm on my butt in my seat Saturday night at 6 p.m.
Oh my gosh, I can't do it. The LSU Arkansas is going to be absolute cinema. The UCLA team, which seems like they struggle offensively, is going to be very interesting going against a Murray State team that could really hit. But the UCLA pitching is really good there too. So, that matchup's due to be great. I mentioned Coastal Carolina and Arizona already, both coming off a big series. And then Louisville and Oregon State. Louisville had a little easier of a path in the Supers going through Miami. Oregon State, though, was in a dogfight against Florida State. A really good team, a team that we both expected to get through. It is just cinematic baseball is what I'm expecting, Jacob. It's cinematic.
I think for me, I think we should expect some really good baseball. I think everybody should be watching. I think it'll be interesting. And honestly, I really want to see Arkansas and Coastal play for the national title. I'm a sicko. I want to see
that. Would be a great matchup. Either of the SEC teams making it through. Watching Murray State make it to the final would be awesome. I don't think UCLA has a chance, really. And I would be hard-pressed to say that if UCLA doesn't have a chance and Murray State doesn't either. But based on the last couple series that UCLA's had, I don't trust their ability to hit. It just throws me in the wrong... I don't like it. But I think we're due for a great series, Jacob. Moving along... We're going to stay on the college trail, but we're going to upgrade it just a bump. Because I would like to say that Mr. Stewart from Texas A&M is in the NFL, but I don't know if I can officially say that yet without him having a contract being signed and him not being at practice. We talked a little bit before. You said that he was holding out because of the terminology. Basically a contract dispute. Yes, a terminology dispute over the injury clause, and that Cincinnati is trying to take a possible injury that defaults him all of his guaranteed money.
Correct.
So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so Shamar Stewart, he's been at practice. He hasn't been, doing any of the drills or any of that. I think today is the first day he's officially not at camp. And yeah, he's being asked, by the media, how do you feel about this? What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I just want to play football, man. But what I'm not going to do is be a guinea pig, for a new contract where every other rookie ever has had the same contract terminology, and yet you're using me as the first person to switch it up on? That doesn't make any sense, right? Why? Like, I get Samar may have had some injury history maybe in the past, but you're trying to default and void all his money guaranteed to him. Like, you drafted him first for a reason. Not to mention,
Right.
Trey Hendrickson also doesn't have a contract either. So, like, we're over here sitting here being like, Shamar, and it's like, Shamar's doing everything right, in my opinion. He speaks well. He's not bashing the team. They've asked him, and he goes, apparently they want to win arguments rather than games. And I sat there, and I was like, that puts the Cincinnati Bengals in a nutshell, essentially. It's just the Bengals being the Bengals, if you ask me.
So, with a player that has a history of injuries, what can we say about Cincinnati and their just weariness? I mean, they did just pay Joe Burrow. Getting ready to pay?
Not recently, no.
He's getting ready to come off his rookie contract?
No, he's been off the rookie contract. It's Jamar Chase got paid, and T. Higgins got paid.
Yes. New 5-year, $275 million. So, with Cincinnati, they paid Joe Burrow. They are now paying Jamar Chase. They have now started paying T. Higgins, and it's a good chunk of money. Do we see a side of this or do you see a side of this where the Bengals make sense for trying to make this a new norm?
No, I don't think it makes sense at all. I think it's disrespectful to the player. I think it's like bad business practice, really. Like, you're trying to change the terminology for one little thing. Just you drafted him first for a reason, right? And yeah, like, you spent all the money on Joe Burrow and Higgins and Chase, and you're probably going to trade Hendrickson, right? So that leaves you with Shamar Stewart. And so, like, if that's not your guy, then, like, I don't know what we're doing here, right? Like, sign him and cut him, I guess. I don't know, but it's just Shamar doesn't want to be a guinea pig, and, like, good for a lot of these guys are so smart, man. Like, some of them got fully guaranteed money on their rookie deals. I think Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver out of Iowa State with the Texans, got a fully guaranteed contract as a second rounder.
Wow.
So, like, these guys are negotiating. They know how to negotiate, and they're not stupid. And the Bengals are trying to, like, pull a fast one, and he's like, I'm not doing this. Simply not going to do it until you change it. And the Bengals like, well, we're not changing it. And it's like Samar said, you want to win an argument rather than win games.
It's a hard line.
It is a hard line. You don't know really where to go with it. I mean, they also like, to put the Bengals thing in perspective, right? You don't sign your first round pick. You don't sign Hendrickson to an extension, who has been a sack leader with 17.5 sacks for the last 2 seasons in the NFL. And the lead tackler for your team, you released the linebacker. So the Bengals are just bangling it up. They're just being so stupid, so dumb.
Yeah, and they're a team that really needs some defense to win their games, because they've got the offense to win some big ones, and the defense lets them down 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
So, and then to wrap this up, Jacob, a new house settlement for the NCAA, allowing schools to directly pay players.
Revenue share. Correct.
Revenue share. I've said it for so long, Jacob. I've said it for so long. You need to keep the money out of the schools. Because as soon as a school themselves is paying one person more than the next, we start running into issues. A ton of them. First and foremost, it's, why is this player getting paid more than me? Am I not as valuable?
So it's not going to work like that. It's revenue share. So based on your sport and the revenue that comes in, they have to share a percentage of that money. and then it's distributed equally among that sport, the money. But the proportions of the money aren't the same. So like a soccer isn't going to have as much money as a football, right? That's how that kind of works. And the flip side of it is that you can go up to 20.5 million of a total pot that can be distributed amongst the athletes. As well as you're now having to give out back pay over 10 years to any student athletes from the years 2016 till current. And you got to pay them all back pay as well. So it's going to put a very tough financial hold on a lot of schools. It's going to make doing things a lot more difficult. Some schools may do layoffs. Some schools may jack their prices. Some schools are going to increase their sponsorship. And some schools are going to figure out different ways to do things. Another big piece is Deloitte is going to try and do what this the fair pay, fair share like type thing. Where any NIL deal over like $600, I believe, is the where they flag it.
Threshold.
Thank you. They have to find true business practice. So what that means is like we're kind of going back to the era of like money under the table, because you can't just give someone money and why are they doing this? Oh, because we want them to play basketball for our school. Can't do that anymore. You have to have business with them. That has to be for a business purpose, right? Is it, like, are they doing marketing for you? Are they promoting your brand, right? It can't just be DJ the CEO gives $3 million to, Bryce James to come to Ohio State, right? It now has to be DJ wants Bryce to go to Ohio State for $1 million, but Bryce is also going to do X amount of appearances for my company, for my brand. Something like that's kind of how it's going to kind of work. Now, granted, if it works, it should balance out this NIL craziness.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, athletic departments are going to be in grave danger. Because financially, I'm not quite sure if this is going to be a sustainable model of revenue sharing, personally. Most schools don't make a profit. That's the problem.
Well, that was going to be my next question is it revenue sharing against all athletes or just athletes of the sport that they're covering?
It depends on the school. Some schools are going to do a tier system. Some schools are going to go equal across the board. Some schools may do proportions, right? Maybe it's the, proportion of the money coming in goes back to you, right? Maybe it's a set, everybody gets 15%. It just depends. If it's a tier, let's take I'm trying to think of a good all-around, like
Florida.
Yeah, let's take Florida, for instance, right? Top tiers are probably going to be football, men's basketball, and baseball. And then your your mid tier is going to be softball, women's basketball,
gymnastics,
thank you, and maybe soccer, maybe
softball. You mentioned
I said softball. And then your bottom tier is going to be everything else. So swim and dive, women's lacrosse, soccer might be in this tier for the Florida Gators, cross country, track and field, and then based on those tiers is how the money gets distributed. So a big chunk of the money is going to go to those sports. Then it's going to go down, and then the rest comes there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's
how some schools are approaching it. It's all various. It's a new age of college athletics because now it's essentially a semi-pro model. It's now that we're sharing revenue, it's a semi-pro model. And I'm not quite sure, as somebody who does work in college athletics, the sustainability of what's been passed.
At least by smaller programs.
Yeah, it's obviously all proportional based, but the lifeblood has always been some of these buy games, right? You buy some of these games, right? But now, like, a lot of these bigger games are going to NIL front, right? A lot of teams are going to play a neutral site where they can get X amount of NIL, and that's how it gets funneled into their program, right? So, like, I'm worried about the smaller schools, honestly. But that's where March Madness kind of comes in and can help really revitalize a lot of schools as well.
Right.
On the flip side, athletes do deserve to be paid, so I'm not upset about them receiving compensation for what they were, but it depends on what you view that compensation to be. Some people view it as a scholarship. I sometimes think they deserve a little bit more if they have a larger brand. They deserve some type of benefit from that, to go and make extra money because the local car dealership wants to do a commercial with them. That's what I believed in.
Yeah.
I did not believe in $7 million going to the number one high school prospect in basketball going to BYU. If the NIL piece works, then I think this all in a long-term play will be for the best. But in a short-term window, it's going to be tough.
And the NIL is definitely an interesting avenue to walk down. It is very much the wild, wild west, and it'll be interesting. We've got another season getting ready to open up here, Jacob, with football coming in less than 90 days. Less than 90 days.
Less than 90. I'm counting them down. We're gonna DJ. I'm pumped for the summer where we're gonna break down these conferences and like get into it and get into the nitty gritty of some college football here. But man, I just can't wait. We're gonna hit the dog days here soon.
They're coming quick.
The
end of these
playoffs.
We're
gonna have content ready. Top fives. Top fives.
My favorite would you rather. I know Jacob doesn't like it. He hates my explanations for these would you rathers.
We might have to tweak what the would you rathers look like. So maybe would you rather Russell Westbrook edition, and then it's
but keep 3 cut 4s.
I like those. Start bench cut.
Yeah,
bench cut. Those are good.
We do all times for these teams.
Maybe
these historic college teams, these NFL teams too.
Well,
bring them all on.
Well, the next biggest thing we got to do is we got to submit the deal with D&J's official All-Star ballot. So we got to do that.
All-Star ballot.
We got to do that. Well, DJ, you want to send us on out of here?
I am going to send us home, Jacob. Thank you all for listening. Please leave a comment, subscribe, follow on all platforms. Let us know what you think. He has been the wonderful, hair-flowing Jacob Parail, and I have been DJ McCatherine. Thank you for listening to The Deal with D and J.